All right. So I have an interview for you. It's TD Jakes, and he's talking about the black church and sexuality, right? I believe Charlemagne the God is conducting this interview, but I want you to check it out, and then I'm gonna have my say about it, and I'm gonna also let you hear some other thoughts and opinions surrounding this discussion that TD Jakes had about sexuality and the black church.
Actually, almost 10 years ago, I did an interview with Bishop T.D. Jakes where the question of sexuality and the black church came up. And here's what he said.
I think it's going to be diverse from church to church. Every church has a different opinion on the issue, and every gay person is different. And I think that to speak the church, the black church or white church or any kind of church you want to call it, are all the same is totally not true. And all gay people are not the same. The types of relationships that are forwarded are based on the types of people in each individual case. Yeah. And LGBTs of types and sorts have to find a household of worship that reflects what your views are and what you believe like anybody else. And the church should have the right to have its own convictions and values. If you don't like those convictions and values, and you totally disagree with it, don't try to change my house, move into your own.
All right. So he says it's going to be diverse from church to church. Every church has a different opinion on the issue, right? All right. So off the jump, I have a problem, with that statement. I don't know about you, but this is why I spend so much time expressing that religion is man made, right? It's not of the Most High God. See, if a preacher or a bishop, someone in that capacity can make a statement like that out in the open and no one holds him to any degree of accountability, a lot of people are being led astray. A lot of people are going to go straight to hell following an individual like this, right? There are several verses that I could point out that talk about false prophets, that are leading people astray, right? But this is so cut and dry, I shouldn't have to do that. Now, my question is, why are churches so diverse, right? Is God like so diverse? Is God diverse like that, right? And why is there a different opinion on the issue? First of all, when did opinions start to matter when we talk about the word of God, right? So I just wonder, like, really, when did God change, right? And why do people follow a pastor that deals with a private interpretation of the Bible, right? So when he says every church, has an opinion, that falls into a private interpretation. All right. So next he said, you have to find a house of worship that reflects your views and what you believe. And the church should have the right to have its own convictions and values. Really, y'all, what are we talking about, here? Is this a church of Satan that we're talking about? What kind of church gets to pick and choose, its convictions and values? I thought all of that was already, laid out. And we're supposed to conform to the Most High God. God doesn't conform, to us, right? So he says you have to find a house of worship that reflects your views. Man, that is like really, that's really strange, to me. So anyway, I think we have enough information, to go on. I mean, I can talk about this, for hours, but I really want to hear like what you guys, think about this. And if this is your bishop, right now, allegedly, TD Jakes is under fire for, some sexual misconduct. And these things, are really coming to light. The internet right now is eating them up. And comments like this, man, it really doesn't help. And I remember when the man said Jesus wore dresses, right? That really threw me off. So to see these accusations, coming up, I'm like, wow, it kind of makes sense, to me now. Nevertheless, all right. So let's listen to some of the other commentary we had surrounding this discussion. So I'm going to let you hear from some of my family and my friends. All right, here we go.
So I was going to ask you that video with, I believe that was Charlemagne the God, and TD Jakes. I believe that's who that was. You
Yeah,
saw that video, right?
yeah, I saw some of it. Yeah.
You saw some of it. Well, it was that short. I mean, shoot, you could only see all of it. It was so
Oh, yeah, I
short.
probably saw. Yeah.
Um,
I
so
mean,
this was the video where TD Jakes was talking about homosexuality, and
I
how
heard.
he thought, yeah, that each church should be able to make up their own rules. So I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts, with respect to that discussion? What he said. What are your thoughts about that?
It's all wrong. He can't do that. And it just goes to show you that this whole church, his whole system is messed up. You can't do that. And you're in violation total with that mindset. You can't.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the Father don't even hear you like you taught me. He's not even listening to him. And it goes to show you that he's in it just for money. Everything is about money with these people. The budget and all that. And they all actors. This is the way I look at them. They no different than someone playing a TV role. You're not
Right.
there to be pleasing the people. No, if it hurts their feelings, it hurts their feelings. So what? You got to deal with it and get yourself together and get right. This
Okay.
word is not about you know your feelings. And this is why we got thrown
Hmm.
into bondage because we're not
But
following
but
no.
but Jake said, you know, that, like, if you got a problem with what he's doing, he's like, overlook him and go find another church that, fits and or suits what it
You
is
can't.
that you're looking for. And I'm, my jaw, dropped. I'm like, wow, he is really saying this,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like you can pick a church like you pick ice cream, you
yeah.
know.
These people don't have the words in them at all. They just preaching. You know, the devil can preach too,
Of course.
and we them.
Mhm. Right. The book say he will transform himself,
Yeah,
into an angel of light. And it's like the thing that when TD Jakes said that, it's like, hey, if you're not a homosexual and the church is not preaching about that, but it's like, if you're a thief, then you go find a church, that's open to thieves and y'all can steal. You
oh my
know,
God,
if you're a
scary.
fornicator, if you like sleeping, around with women, if you're a whoremonger, if you're a whore, a hoe, as they say, then he said you go find a church, that is good, for that will allow you, to do that. But
Terrible.
again, I'm just like in shock, that so many people, look up to him, and he can go on to a public forum
Yeah,
and make these outlandish statements and still, is upheld as a man of the cloth, as a man of God. Bro, that is insane, to
Yep.
me that people defend that type of rhetoric.
Yep. This is why the devil got 1/3 of the angels out of the heavens doing the same method. It's no different.
Well,
Using the same.
uh, let's be clear, that 2/3 of the people, are going to perish, right?
Yeah.
That we can be certain about, as it pertains to what the prophets, have said, and how God has warned us. So, let us position ourselves that we're not, a part of a 1/3. I mean, we're not a part of the 2/3 that will be
Right.
destroyed. That
Right.
are certainly, going to perish. But I assure you, man, for those who are following, after a man named T.D. Jakes and all of the other churches and organizations that are within that network, bro, they can't be nothing but, a part of the 2/3, seeing that the measure for his church is centered, around his feeling, for how other people, feel. And like he said, if you, don't like, the things that I'm allowing, to take place in my church, you go find one, that fit what you like. I'm like, damn,
Yep.
when did this become about what you like? I'm like,
Yeah.
we're supposed to transform our lives to the standard of God. God is not supposed to, yield, to the ways of man. I'm like, boy,
Yeah.
out in the open, they got it wrong. Out in the open, they got it wrong.
You
But
know,
yet and still, these people, they flock into it, man.
yeah, so that
They are.
get drunk from this
Yep.
guy's weird knowledge. Getting drunk
Yep.
from it.
They drunk. Yep. Yeah,
All
there
of
it
it.
is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's important to come into this like what I'm doing. Come into this like a baby and be humble. I just want to know I just want to know what is going on and really
Right.
learn who I am. And
Yeah, but see the issue though, as babes, babes are being, shifted, from one side or the other side, right? So you still have like all the people, in my observation, all the people that are associated with someone like a TD Jakes, when it comes to, the truth, they're all babes, right? But
yeah,
they've been propped up with so much misinformation,
a lot of them,
and
yeah.
or they have inherited, as the book say, they have inherited lies that it's just a little difficult, man, for them to drop, stop, and roll. But when you're on fire, that's what you're supposed to do, to put that fire out. Otherwise, you're gonna burn up, you
Yep.
know. But they're all babes, and they all should, humble themselves. But they're puffed up, they're puffed up, with that knowledge, the knowledge of men, the wisdom of men. They're
Yep.
puffed up with, the understanding of the false prophets. And I say false prophets, just realizing the book say, that Satan will transform himself, into an angel of light, and his prophets or his ministers, would do the same thing, and they would be teaching, individuals, and leading them astray. So it's obvious.
Millions. Yep.
Yeah,
Millions.
man.
Wow.
Yeah.
This
And
is
and
why.
no, in fact, it's billions.
Right. Right. Right.
They
Right.
have billions. Billions of people that that subscribe to that nonsense. And, you just have to factor in, when you get to talking about millions, how many, may subscribe to, a gentleman named T.D. Jakes. But yeah, folks are
Tamer.
being led astray. Tamer, what's up? How you doing?
I'm well this morning, and everyone else. How are you guys?
Hey, how are you?
Look,
How are you?
so real quick before we get into it, I was asking Will about that video that TD Jakes, put out, and he gave me his understanding. So I want to ask you, as far as that video go, you heard what he had to say. I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about what he had to say?
So he's definitely on that worldly doctrine. He's definitely into that worldly doctrine because nothing there was of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I totally agree.
I mean, everything he said was so not of the Word of God.
Right.
He didn't say anything of the Word of God. Nothing.
As I was pointing out to Will, the one thing, that really stood out to me is when he said, you should find a church, that's appealing to, your desires.
Yeah.
I thought that was insane. All right, so I see we got somebody else just came into the room. Is that you, Yamina?
Yamina.
Oh, that's Yamina. Okay. All right, we got Marlena, and was that Makai?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Oh, okay. All right, great. All right. So I'll ask Yamina. I know you had a chance to see that video with TD Jakes. Yamina, we got 1 minute before we get started here. What was your thoughts about that video that you saw with TD Jakes? Yamina.
I think right now with so much social media and everything, instead of everybody saying, honestly, Uncle, how can I put this?
Plainly?
I'm trying to find the words plainly. Okay, give me like 3 minutes so I can get my words together. So I'm scribbling.
Okay. In 3 minutes, we're going to be into our lesson, But I think you guys had some great points, with respect to the things that TD Jakes had to say in that video. And the standout thing was that you should find a church that fits your desires. So as I was saying, to Will, it's as if you're a homosexual and one church don't approve of homosexuality, then you go find a church that approves of homosexuality, and now God will accept you, and then it's like if you a thief, and this church don't accept, thieves, you go find, a church that deals with that. If you are a whoremonger, if you a hoe, if you like, sleeping around with women and other people's wives, and if you like that and this church don't, it's like, hey, you go find a church, that deals with that, and you make that your home. I'm like, man, if that ain't the devil, if you don't know the conversation, of the devil, man, you will be, led astray. And like we say, this guy, he has, uh, many so-called followers and people, in the sphere of religion. They really look up, to him. They hold this guy, at a high regard. And this is kind of, what we're dealing with.